Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is LilyScheier, and today during this training session, we will be talking about employee development, specifically mentoring. I would first like to congratulate the supervisors. This is a wonderful achievement, and I hope you find today's information about mentoring useful in your new position at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Before we begin, let's chat. I would like you to please consider some of the following questions so that we can begin our thinking about today's discussion. Now that you have done so, we are going to move on. Before we specifically begin talking about mentoring, I would like to show you this overview of an article that talks about employee development and some other methods that you can use. I will bring that on the screen next. Now that you have read the article, we are going to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so now that you've read a little bit about employee development, you can see how useful it is for the effectiveness of organizations. In fact, 68% of employees, according to Clear Company, say that training and development opportunities are the company's most important policy. And I hope you can all experience the same thing at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So what exactly is employee development? This is almost universally recognized as a strategic tool for an organization's continuing growth, productivity, and ability to retain employees. As you have seen the example of mentoring, there is also coaching, individual development plans, stretch assignments, job shadowing, job rotation, working in special teams, and even more. Mentoring is an intense personal exchange between the supervisor and a subordinate in which the supervisor enacts the role of a mentor to provide feedback and support regarding career and personal development. So you guys would fill the role of a mentor, and you would also have a mentee who is the person who receives the mentorship. And together you will build a relationship and over time progress and develop ideas so that you can help each other grow. There is one important distinction when you use mentoring at work. It is not the same as coaching. People oftentimes confuse this, but the two in fact are different. Mentoring is more career focused and coaching is more performance focused. There are some other ideas that represent the differences on this slide, and I really want you to articulate them because it is important so you can develop the most effective mentoring program at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. On this next slide, we're actually going to dive more into the differences of mentoring versus coaching. I just think it's important that we can articulate them, and I find it useful for you guys to view today.
Today, let's take a look at the difference between coaching and mentoring. You as a frontline leader, supervisor, or manager, or perhaps even at the executive level, will have to know the difference between what is mentoring and what is coaching. Many organizations want to establish a mentoring type culture so that employees can go and ask those who have the experience and knowledge some advice that can help them along their career path. What is the difference? Mentoring is when the individual goes to seek out some advice from someone who has the knowledge that they're looking for. So it isn't something that you can force. If I told you you have to go and get mentored by this individual, you'd probably cringe a little bit because a certain type of individual is a better mentor than others. The person that you approach to ask for mentoring advice is usually someone who you respect because of their track record and their competence. So you're not likely to ask advice from someone who you don't respect or who you don't think has done a good job in their career. The second factor that would influence how you would go for mentoring or who you would go to mentor from is whether that person will be open with you and trustworthy, that you would be able to let your guard down and even asking them the advice, or when they were going to give you the advice that they wouldn't judge you harshly and that they would be willing to even disclose that they themselves had challenges in that area. The third factor that determines whether someone is a good mentor is whether they're available to you when you need them. Obviously, someone who has all the competence and even somebody who's easy to talk to, but if they're never around, you're not going to be able to ask them for much mentoring advice. So if you want to be a good mentor, not only will you focus on obviously your track record and your competence, you'd be more about having a conversation with the person who comes to you, feels comfortable actually asking you the question, and that when you give them the advice, you don't sound like you've known everything perfectly all the way along. Now let's talk about coaching. Coaching is different because usually coaching is something that the leader acknowledges that needs to be dealt with in terms of the employee, and then the leader, initiates that conversation. So if you bring an employee and you say, hey, I wanted to bring something to your attention. I've noticed that when you do this and this and this, that it's not giving you the results that you're looking for. So I'm going to recommend that you do this differently, and then that will generate the outcomes you're looking for. How does that sound? So coaching is really directed from the leader to the team member. Now, in that case, there's still a few guidelines to provide proper coaching. Number one is be conversational in your approach. There's no need to be overly heavy-handed or aggressive in your tone. Secondly is be as specific as you can be about what you observed and what you think would be more effective. And then third is look for and acknowledge the results when the person implements the change. If you have a person who accepts the feedback that you have, implements it, then you're going to continue to have a coaching relationship. If, after giving a number of coaching sessions, you find that the person isn't enacting the information, isn't taking the action that you desire, or generating the results that you expect, you might have to get a little bit more directive in your coaching approach. So mentoring and coaching both can be used as development tools. Mentoring is more where the person pulls the information and advice down that they want. Coaching is where the leader imparts that information to the employee looking for a change in behavior or performance. Now, in addition to learning mentoring and coaching skills, we train a lot of front.
Okay, all, thank you so much for viewing this video. I'm going to now go back to the PowerPoint. I hope you find it informative, and I think you're going to also understand some of the ideas that was mentioned about mentoring more prominent in our later discussion today. And for more information on your own, you can also view the second article I have here next to the video. Okay, moving on. There are also reasons you should understand how mentoring is important at work, not just to the mentor and mentee themselves, but also the organization as a whole. For instance, it helps the company to remain competitive, it helps them adapt to change and to increase their productivity while reducing turnover, and it helps engage employees more because they're focusing on things that they can improve on and become more developmental at. And for the mentor, it helps the organization to succeed because they're investing time in helping other people through leadership roles, and that helps them increase their network and also confirms their role as the expert in the situation. And for the mentee, it really helps them transition into their role better because they're getting the opportunity to have a plan that's helping them attack new skills and gain knowledge and even explore some more development areas. And they're going to be able to learn more about the organization and identify their own strengths and also increase their network. At this time, I just want to check in on how all of you are doing. I appreciate your virtual attention this morning. And if you could please indicate how you're doing through the Zoom function, that would be great. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up, so I think that's a good sign to move on. At this point, you might be wondering how supervisors can specifically use mentoring at work. Well, you can do this through the four-phase technique, which includes initiation, cultivation, separation, and redefinition. In the initiation phase, the mentor and mentee have formed their relationship, and they seek an understanding of each other's interests, personal styles, and work habits. So that's when all the information is pulled, as was discussed in the video. This usually lasts about 6 to 12 months. Then in the cultivation phase, this is where all the learning and development takes place. It lasts a few years, and this is where insights between the mentor and mentee are exchanged. Then in the separation stage, this is where the mentoring relationship actually comes to an end. Either the person can terminate the relationship, but overall the mentee has reached the learning objectives that were planned for them, and they have received that support from the mentor. So now they're able to apply that and act on their own. In the last phase of redefinition, this is where the relationship between the mentor and mentee has a new form. The two individuals are actually able to work as co-workers, and the mentee is now able to take on the role as a mentor, and the old mentor can now go on to mentor somebody else. Also, you might be wondering what else helps us to do this? How else can we accomplish an effective mentoring program? You can do this through self-assessments for readiness, preparation worksheets, and tracking progress results for both the mentor and the mentee. And we're going to explore that in a little more detail next. This is an example of a mentor and mentee self-assessment worksheet. It helps indicate where exactly everybody is in the process in terms of stretching beyond their comfort zone, or when they can lead by example, or basically when they're going to apply new initiatives and everything like that. It helps them get started and move on in the process of all of their learning objectives. Then we have examples of preparation worksheets, and this is where all that information is organized in regards to expectations and views and learning styles and everything else that they want to accomplish throughout the entire relationship. And to see other ways that we can implement an effective mentoring program more specifically, I'm going to show you guys another video.
To start a mentoring program. Want to start a mentoring program? Why not? It's proven to increase retention, promotion rates, and employee satisfaction. We've broken it down into 5 key phases: designing the program, attracting participants, connecting mentors and mentees, providing guidance, and measuring results. Now we're going to provide a few tips on each of these categories. First of all, the perfect mentoring program addresses these 2 questions: why are you doing this, and what will success actually look like? Enthusiastic participants are key to your program's success. Look for creative ways to promote it and lower the barriers of entry. Every mentee needs a mentor they gel with. User profiles help you decide on a pair, or helps the pair decide on each other. Software can then help iterate on your matching process. Provide participants a way to reflect and give feedback safely. Build and track metrics at 3 levels: individual learning, the health of the program, and how the connections between participants are developing. Unleash the power of mentoring.
Okay, thank you again for watching this video. I think that it was a little bit more specific about what we are discussing today. However, I do believe those insights are going to be useful for you in the future as you get more experienced in the mentoring program. The last part of this is to remember to evaluate, and this is crucial in the mentoring process. And you can do this by journaling through forms of 360-degree feedback or other data collection methods, because reviewing progress and results will show the partners in the relationship what is working well, what isn't working, any alterations or next steps you need to make so that the program is most effective. And it has actually been found that journaling is a more useful method because it really shows both the mentor and the mentee's own perspectives and how they feel the process is going and what they want to look forward to in the future. At this time, I am concluding all of the content I have gone through, so I'd like to review. We have come to know that mentoring is a 2-way communication process between a mentor and a mentee. Employee development comes in several forms, but mentoring and coaching are not the same. Mentoring helps increase communication in the workplace, benefiting the mentor, the mentee, and the organization as a whole. The 4-phase technique is a great way to outline your mentoring program. Self-assessments, preparation worksheets, and reviewing outcomes are additional actions that should be taken to evaluate how effectively the mentor program has been going and what can be done differently moving forward. I would also like to welcome any questions. And I don't see any, so if you could also please use the anonymous chat function and indicate how well you thought this training session went today, that would be greatly appreciated. And I've also incorporated a take-home article for you to read prior to your first day at the mentoring program. I think it is a very useful article because it actually gives you more perspective in the mentee's position and what they're going to be thinking about, because it is a 2-way communication process, and I think all thoughts should be considered. At this time, I would like to say thank you and wish you all good luck.